Hey everybody, how's it going? As you know, next year is the midterms. There's going to be several seats up for grabs in the House and Senate. One of those seats is the Senate seat currently held by Thom Tillis here from North Carolina. One of the people that has already said he's going to make a run for that seat is North Carolina's former so-called governor, Roy Cooper. Now, obviously, we still have to go through the primaries and everything, but it's pretty much a certainty that Roy Cooper will win the primary to run on the Democratic ticket for that Senate seat. If he wins, he's going to be a problem for this country. He's right now he's a North Carolina problem. He's been one for several years. If he gets that Senate seat, he will be an American problem. Now, Roy Cooper, several years ago, he was the Attorney General here for North Carolina. And in all honesty, I will say that at one time I did have a little bit of respect for him when he was Attorney General. Now, I wouldn't have voted for him to be governor. I wouldn't have voted for him, try to send him to the House or the Senate, anything like that. But as far as doing the job of Attorney General, I thought he did a fairly decent job of that, and I had a little bit of respect for him. Then one day, I lost every bit of respect that I ever had for that man. I have no respect for him now. I have no use for him. And what happened was several years ago when North Carolina passed that law it was really known as the bathroom bill. You probably remember hearing about it because it made headlines all across the country. This was a law. It basically said if you're a man, you go take a piss in the men's room. If you're a woman, you go take a piss in the women's restroom. This made a lot of people mad. Some of these weirdos out here, people that can't decide if they're a man or a woman or both or neither or something in between, they got mad about this, claiming it was discrimination. The law was not discrimination. It was designed to protect women and children because the way the law was, any man could get up one morning and say, well, I think I'm a woman today, and he could have literally walked into a woman's restroom in a store or a restaurant, and there's nothing that could have been done about it if he claimed he was a woman that day. That's what that law was for. It was mainly to protect women and children. Well, there were lawsuits filed against the state of North Carolina over it. Roy Cooper, as Attorney General, it was his job to defend North Carolina in those lawsuits, and he did for maybe a couple of them. Then Roy Cooper stands up one day and he decides to put his politics ahead of his job, and he makes the statement that that law is unconstitutional. He disagrees with it, and therefore he's no longer going to defend North Carolina in these lawsuits. But he refuses to resign. He keeps the job of Attorney General, continues to collect his salary, and North Carolina winds up having to hire another attorney to defend the state in these lawsuits. If he would have at least had the decency to say, I don't think I can do this job fully anymore, therefore I'm going to resign, I could have still kept a little bit of respect for him. Even though I didn't agree with him, I could have still kept a little bit of respect for him. But he won't resign. He stays in there, continues to collect his salary while the state's having to pay another attorney to do that part of his job. That's when I lost all respect for Roy Cooper. When he was governor and we had all the woohoo flu stupidness, craziness going on, Roy Cooper, he puts in his lockdowns and his little mask mandates, which, by the way, I did not abide by his little mask mandate. I didn't wear one. I went in stores, I walked in there not wearing one. While this mask mandate was in place, though, that's when George Floyd overdosed and died, and then you had all these protests and everything across the country because of that. There was a George Floyd protest down in Raleigh. And this was during the time of the mask mandate. There's a picture, and I have it here on a post on my channel. Roy Cooper was out in the street marching with these George Floyd protesters. They were not wearing masks. He was out in the street marching with them with a mask literally hanging off of one ear. That's the way he was out there walking, marching with them during his own mask mandates and lockdowns. That's what Roy Cooper is. He will put his politics ahead of his job. He does not and will not have your family values in mind. He has no problem with a man going into a woman's restroom. That does not bother him. He has no problem with that. He has no problem with literally abortion on demand. He is a hardcore liberal, left-wing Democrat, and that's what he's going to be if he gets into the U.S. Senate. Now, I know North Carolina's going to be the one making this decision, but if he wins, he's going to go from a North Carolina problem to an American problem. I know I'm a little man with a little voice on here, but I'm going to do everything I can to speak out against him, to try to keep him from getting that Senate seat, because if he gets it, he will be a disaster for this country. That man does not need to be in the U.S. Senate or the House or the White House. He would be a disaster for this country. Thanks for watching.